Have you ever wondered what it's like to live out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Well, today I sit down with someone who is from Canada but has chosen to go to Pico Island. So let's chat with her a little bit. Go ahead and start off by just telling us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
My name's Laura Scarfo, and I came to Pico with my boyfriend, who is from here. He was born on Pico. We've been coming here for probably the last 10 years.
Okay, so before you decided to go to the Azores, what were you doing?
Well, I owned a ladies' wear boutique for about 23 years. And then I had closed down the store when the recession started, and then I came here for about 5, 6 weeks just to figure out what else I wanted to do and where my life was going to go.
Okay, so why Pico Island? Why did you leave Canada and go to Pico Island?
Well, Carlos, my partner, boyfriend, was born in Pico. He left here when he was 9 years old with his family. And when Carlos and I met, he kept talking about this island, this beautiful island that he was from. And I said, well, I would love to go there. And actually watched a lot of YouTube videos on Pico and the Azores. And more I watched those videos, the more and more I wanted to go. So as a surprise to Carlos for his birthday, I bought plane tickets and we came to the island.
Well, did you ever think that you would end up in Pico long term like you are now?
Yes, I think I always had that idea, especially even coming for the first time. I fell in love with the island. There's just something about Pico. It's magical. It's like a magnet. It just draws you. Just even getting off the plane and you exit the airport and the air just it smells different. It's fresh, and you also as soon as you look up you see Pico. Yeah, I always knew that. Yeah, we were definitely going to be coming here longer term.
Okay, so something inside of you was like, this is just different than Canada, right outside of Toronto, right? Is where you came
Yeah,
from?
we're from a town called Oakville, so about 30 minutes from Toronto. Yeah, Pico is it is different from Canada. Canada is a beautiful country. We love Canada, and we're going to be spending half the time there and half the time here. So I just wanted to clear that up. We actually haven't moved here permanently. We say that we have the best of both worlds.
So is it like a
So
snowbird thing?
yeah, I guess you could call it that. But I have a feeling we'll maybe be here a little bit longer than well, we have been. We've been here almost a year since COVID happened.
Mhm.
So there's beauty in Canada, and but the beauty in Pico is it's just the island life. It's
Mm.
the ocean is always there, and then you have the mountain and Pico, and just the flora here is beautiful.
Great. Okay, so how about the language barrier? Is that something that is an issue there?
No, I haven't had an issue. Most people speak English here,
Mm.
and I mean it also helps that Carlos is Portuguese. So, but that hasn't really changed anything for me, as well as as far as getting around. And but most people do speak English.
That's helpful.
Yes, it's very helpful. They actually start taking English in school. It's mandatory. They start taking English in grade 3, I believe it is.
Okay. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So, we talk about Pico, but have you ever lived or at least visited other islands that you can give a comparison on this island life feel?
Well, I have been to other islands in the Azores,
Mm.
but other islands, no. I mean, I've been to Dominican, Mexico. No, I guess I really can't.
Okay. Anywhere else that you've traveled that you can compare the islands to, or are they just kind of in their own sphere?
Yeah, they're unique. I
Mhm.
have to say, yeah, definitely unique.
Have you ever lived or visited mainland Portugal? That there's any comparison with that?
Actually, Carlos's uncle lives in mainland, and it's a little bit more of a city. It's a little busier in Lisbon. Not the same as Pico. Pico, I find it more quiet, which is what I love. I always say that whenever I go to another island, I can't wait to get back to Pico because
Really?
Pico's my heart.
Okay, that's great to know. So let's talk a little bit about this since it is your heart. What does a day-to-day life look like there? What are some things that are different from Canada? Like paint the picture for us of why it's your heart.
Well, I think even, just getting up in the morning, especially during the winter, the winters are hard in Canada. Here, just waking up and the sun is shining and you open the door and you step outside and it's just vegetation and fresh air and the birds singing, and you can actually hear the ocean from the house here. Even at night when we're going to bed, you can hear the ocean. We're probably a 2-minute walk down from our house here.
Does it give you this like relaxing feeling all the time? Is that what kind of like the island life is like?
I would say relaxing all the time. I think people have to understand that um, you can still have stresses, you can still have anxieties. It doesn't matter, if you're on an island or somewhere else. But it definitely helps to calm those anxieties or stresses.
What are some
Yeah.
of those stresses and anxieties that you get there?
I think coming from, owning my own business and always doing something, I always feel like I need to be doing something,
Hmm.
you know. And I'm sure that a lot of people are probably going through that right now with this COVID. Either they've lost their job or they've had to close down their business. What's to come next? Probably thinking about those anxieties. What's in the future? That can create those anxieties.
A lot of people think of an island and they think, oh, amazing weather. So, what's the weather like? And is it truly amazing? And are there any other challenges that come up on island life?
So the weather here, it can change. People say it's like 3 seasons. So it could be sunny and all of a sudden start raining. It could be when the sun's out, it's very, very warm. But then when it goes behind the clouds, it can get a lot cooler. Especially in the wintertime. I can't say that's a complaint if I'm comparing the weather in Canada with the snow and the.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not a complaint. But you have to be prepared for it. So I always bring an umbrella, a little rain jacket, just in case. But the last few days have been downpouring rain, so you can't even go out. That kind of forces you to do things inside, which is not a bad thing, because it makes you feel like you don't need to go out. You don't have to go. You don't have to feel guilty about not going outside.
Sure.
The doing laundry is determined on the weather, because a lot of
Oh.
people dry their clothes on clotheslines here. So that needs to be sunny and there has to be wind.
Yeah.
So you could have your clothes out there and then all of a sudden this cloud comes in. So you see people dashing out to bring their clothes in, and so we have a dryer here, but we try not to use it because it's expensive to use dryers here. So people that do have dryers, what they do is they dry their clothes outside, and then maybe closer to the end they just throw them in the dryer quickly just to kind of fluff them up. Yeah, so that's a few challenges with with the weather, especially.
Is the electricity overall expensive?
It's no, not really. Like if you're using a dryer or we have a dehumidifier here and also a radiator. So in the wintertime, it can be more expensive. Um, but during the summertime, it's not very expensive.
Okay.
The only thing that you might find is intermittently they'll have like a power outage, or else it's through your own fault for plugging in too many things
Yeah.
at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And then I mean one of the other challenges is your stove and your hot water is run on propane.
Oh, okay.
They are now a lot of people are changing over to hot water tanks, so that kind of gets rid of the problem that if you're taking a shower, all of a sudden the propane runs out, the water turns cold.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, so, and it's hard to tell, when your propane tank is low.
Oh, that would be rough.
The benefit of being on propane is that if you do have a blackout, you can still cook your food and you can still take a shower.
Oh, so, pros and cons.
Yes, exactly.
So let's chat a little bit about life there for you. Do you think it would be more difficult without Carlos, without having someone who speaks Portuguese and kind of knows the culture?
I wouldn't say that it would be more difficult. It definitely has helped with him speaking Portuguese. Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's been more difficult. It would be more difficult without him.
Well, that's good. So anyone who's an expat who speaks English can feel comfortable going there and maybe navigating things on their own without the
Yeah.
help of a Portuguese.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And so what's your living situation? Let's talk a little bit about that. What's the housing like there?
Well, there's different types of housing. We're staying in our family home here. Carlos's uncle and his mom own this house. We stay here. We also bought a house about 15 minutes away in another village. And so we're in the middle of renovating. That's a whole other story. Yeah, we're just getting things renovated and set up there. And yeah, but we're in a village called Lage. Some people they say Lages, and I say Lage.
Okay.
It's a very quaint village. The main whale watching is here in this village, and we go swimming down the road, and lots of cafes and little restaurants, and yeah, it's a nice spot.
Is everything pretty small there, like the grocery stores and the restaurants and everything, or is there anything that's kind of big and commercial?
Well, they just opened up a big grocery store called the Continent
Mm.
in Madalena, and they have everything there. But there's lots of little groceries, like little mom and pop grocery stores that you can go to, which is nice. We like to support them as well.
Hmm.
And also a convenience, especially for there's a lot of older people here. So, and they don't, they may not drive. So it's crucial that we have the grocery stores in the different villages.
Okay, so you're talking about the older people. How do people get around then if people aren't driving?
Well, they probably have neighbors or family that help them out. I mean, that when you're asking about one of the challenges is you have to know how to drive standard here.
Mm.
It's hard to find automatic cars. So that's one thing, one challenge I'm trying to get over is to learn how to drive standard.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing. I think in Europe, especially compared to Canada and the United States, I think we do a lot more automatic driving than they do. And so when you get to Europe,
Yeah,
it's not as common. I've noticed
yeah,
that the like rental cars, if you want to rent an automatic car in Europe, it tends to be more expensive, whereas it's not like that in the States.
yeah. And here it's harder to find, but it's driving standard, people say, oh, you should be driving standard by yourself right now, and but we don't drive all the time, so I don't always have the opportunity to practice. And not only that, it's a little nerve wracking because people tend to drive fast here,
Mm.
and plus when you're going through these little villages, the street's going to get a little bit narrow, so you have these sharp curves that you have to go around these buildings, and then dealing with the hills too
Yeah,
can be challenging because some of these hills are steep.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
people go on like bicycles or like motorbikes, or is that not as common?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that ride bikes. They have mopeds here. Yeah, it's there's a lot of different types of transportation. You can take the bus. They have a bus that goes around the island. You can get a cab as well.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier that you weren't planning on staying there as long as you are right now, but are you happy that you've kind of been stuck there? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yes, yes. I think our flight has been canceled what, 3, 4 times, and every time it's canceled, I jump up and down with joy that because I do want to stay here as long as we can.
Mm,
Right now, it's not good to go back to Canada. It's in they're in another lockdown, so it's not good at all. We're very blessed to be here, right? Especially during this time.
right. Yeah, definitely. So, do you think that if it was open, and you could go back and there weren't any restrictions, where would you choose to stay? Would you rather stay in Pico for a little longer? Yeah. So how come you guys haven't moved there? Just moved there long term?
I would love to move here.
Why haven't you?
Because we need to have both. Plus, we have OHIP in Canada, so you have to go back in order to keep the OHIP.
Okay, so you have to be in Canada a certain amount of time for that, or?
Yeah, 183 days.
Oh, okay, okay. So let's talk a little bit about the differences. I'm curious with the healthcare. You want to keep that in Canada. Well, what's the healthcare like there on the island?
So we actually have healthcare insurance, private healthcare insurance. You can get the very basic, but we wanted to get a little bit more.
Have you had to go to a doctor there?
No.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so what kinds of comforts from Canada have you brought to Pico, or have you not needed any of those comforts? Has Pico been good?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can pretty much get anything here on Pico. Um, as like when we first got here, it's a pretty rustic house. I actually painted all these kitchen cupboards.
They look
Like,
nice.
there's a lot of cupboards here, so just to make it feel a little bit brighter, because it was dark wood and added some rugs, and we turned one of the rooms into a bedroom, and we put a TV in there, and just made it more comfortable because they had very small beds here.
Mm,
um, they like double beds.
yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Okay, and earlier you mentioned a little bit of renovating another place, and you said it's a whole other story. So we won't go too much into it, but I am curious to know how that's going. Like, how do you get materials on the island? How do you have workers? Like, how
Oh,
is
there's
that?
lots of places that construction places, and also Carlos's cousins own a little grocery store, as well as construction materials and paint. So we get our materials from them, and
That's
but there's lots of places you can get your materials from.
Well, that's good. So lots of stuff that's available, and obviously it's very helpful that you have a family member, or Carlos has a family member that is in that
Yeah.
industry.
Yes, yeah, we're very lucky to have family here.
Yes. Earlier you're talking about how Pico, you love it there and it's your heart. So what have you found has changed in yourself since you've been there, especially now that you've been there almost a year and that wasn't planned? Like, what have you felt has changed about yourself?
I've actually gotten fatter.
How?
Are you eating bread and
You're funny. I'm talking about the emotional side of it.
yeah, I think just taking things a little bit more in stride. Things don't always get done right away here. So I think it's just when it gets done kind of thing.
Is that good or
That's
bad? Is that stressful or do you like that?
I think in the beginning it was stressful, but now it's just, whatever happens, happens.
Hmm.
And I think I've learned that through life, is that things happen for a reason. So if it doesn't get done today, it'll get done tomorrow, or the next week.
Yeah.
But it will get done.
Okay, so you've kind of opened up to that cultural thing where it's just very relaxed and, whenever it happens.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like anything else has changed in you that you feel different in any way?
It's always, I think, always felt like home to me, but just taking things a little bit slower.
Mm. Well, that's nice though that you had never been there and then you visited and now it just feels like home for you.
Yes, because when I'm back in Canada, I can't wait to come back here.
Really?
Yes.
What are some of the reasons why?
I don't know. That's a hard question. It's a feeling,
Mm.
and it's really hard to express that. Um, I think it's just the peacefulness. I don't know if you can hear the
As
birds.
the bird chirps, yeah, the peacefulness as the bird chirps. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yes, exactly. And the sunshine. I don't know. It's the way the sun hits the houses here. It's different, especially in the evening.
Sounds beautiful.
Yes, it is very beautiful. Yeah, especially with the red tiles on the roofs here, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay, so let's talk about your channel because you're on YouTube and you talk about Pico Island. So tell us the name of your channel and what you're doing with that.
So our channel is called Our Journey on Pico Island. Laura and Carlos. We wanted to promote Pico and the island just to showcase how beautiful, how safe it is here. Um, to stay here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even staying longer for long stays, and retiring here. The cost of living is low, compared to, well, I'm comparing it to Canada. Cost of living is high in Canada, and yeah, so if you want to come and stay longer, or buy something to retire, so we're just wanting to show people how you can do that.
Awesome. Okay, so for those of you who are interested in the Azores and even in Pico Island, then hop over to their channel and take a look at what they have to say about it. You can obviously contact them as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we get a lot of great comments through our blogs and people reaching out to us, and I think it's great because we're giving people inspiration and hope, doing these vlogs, and that's the feedback we're getting from our subscribers, which is really nice.
Good. Yeah, that is great. Well, at Expats Everywhere, we believe that living abroad transforms lives. So, how does living, even though it's not full time, because you do have to go back to Canada for the health insurance, but how does being in Pico, how has it transformed your life?
I guess not the same stresses that you have in Canada, like the same pressures that our people are under, because the cost of living is higher. It's, having a mortgage and paying property taxes and utilities and groceries and everything. It's a lot of pressure. I can't imagine what people are going through right now, being in COVID and not being able to work. Especially with the benefits that they're getting.
Hmm.
I don't know how they're coping with that.
Thank you so much, Laura, for telling us today about Pico Island. And for those of you who are interested, make sure you head on over to their channel and take a look for yourself.